Hey gang, JC here, and this is the Daily Dose for Tuesday, February 7th, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. Great television archives, top of the page, eye candy right below what you're looking at, and our rock and roll poll question from yesterday. Well, you know, for a long time the NFL said, well, you can't have a Super Bowl because you're in a cold climate. And then they had them in Detroit and Minnesota, and then Indianapolis last weekend, where the climate is exactly the same as St. Louis. And there are all sorts of reasons that are giving us why we can't have a Super Bowl. So I asked you the question. Now that Indianapolis, a city smaller than St. Louis and with nearly identical climate, has hosted a Super Bowl, what's wrong with us here in St. Louis? 42% of you said our city leaders just don't know how to play the NFL politics game. Another 31% of you said the NFL just plain hates St. Louis. So a combined 73% of you think it's one of those two answers. Only 19% think it has something to do with St. Louis not having enough hotels or necessary accommodations, and only 7% put down other. All right, let's shift to politics. We've got the Missouri primary today, which is non-binding and really outside of Rick Santorum, just trying to have something he can hang his hat on. Not much going on here. Newt's not even, he didn't even put the paperwork together to be on the ballot here in the state of Missouri. So in a NBC Wall Street Journal poll last week, this was amazing, even to me. A startling 96% of people who consider themselves avowed conservatives, dyed-in-the-wool conservatives, 96% of those avowed conservatives, according to the poll, have a negative feeling about the president as a person. 96% of avowed conservatives say they got a problem with the president as a person. What do you think about that? Here are your choices. A, I can see that. After all, Obama wasn't born in America. He is a Muslim and he has a socialist agenda. B, this is an illustration of what can happen when people lose their ability to separate their dislike of policy from their dislike of a person. C, with all the lies and creepy stuff that's been generated about him by Fox News, talk radio, and the internet, why would anybody be surprised by this development? Or D, these people should be ashamed of themselves regardless of what you think about his politics. The president has been a dedicated public servant, father, and husband. Very curious to hear what your answer is on that. Please answer in the corner and let's go. We'll have results for you tomorrow. Well, Madonna took a lot of heat for the Super Bowl. When they announced that she was going to be the Super Bowl halftime performer, the jokes started coming, and I made them too. And there were a lot of jokes about her breaking a hip, or, the smell of icy hot, or her goofed up arms and all that sort of stuff. Well, it appears that Madonna is getting the last laugh. And in a way, I'm sort of amused by the whole thing, because Madonna going on a world tour, she's coming off these the Super Bowl performance, which had mixed reviews, but I think generally what people said, at the absolute minimum, it was great spectacle, and it's perfect for the Super Bowl halftime show. It's gaudy and larger than life and larger than it needs to be, and that's what the Super Bowl is all about. It's about excess. That's really what the Super Bowl is all about. It's about excess. Have a pregame show that starts on Wednesday afternoon. You got to have, the largest number of viewers ever in the history of television. Everybody's got to be twice as big as everything else. The halftime show's got to have lasers and explosions and the whole thing. Plus you're eating since 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and drinking, by the way. So, but anyhow, Madonna is going on a world tour and coming to St. Louis for the very first time. When I did my interview with her, and that was my whole first book was based on the whole Madonna thing. She was like, "Yeah, I've never been to St. Louis." I was like, "Never?" And she said, "No, I've never set foot in St. Louis." So she's going to be making her first stop November 1st. Scott Trade Center tickets go on sale first week of March, or when is it? Sometime in March. I forget. I'll let you know when. This, by the way, on top of the fact that Madonna's halftime show, yesterday you heard all this talk about the Super Bowl, the largest number of viewers in the history of the medium at 111.3 million viewers, a little more than last year. Well, Madonna's halftime show did better than that, did 114 million viewers. So technically, Madonna's halftime show, the most viewed television show in the history of mankind. So now she goes out, and there we go. By the way, the tightrope guy who was bouncing his nads off the rope there, just bouncing around. He says that his name is Andy Lewis, by the way. It's called a nylon slack line. I don't know if anybody else is doing this thing, but this guy does it pretty well. And you can't help but notice when he's doing this, well, does he have some sort of cup on it? He says, no. He says it's all, you just try to not squish them or pop them. And what he does is he pushes them off to one side. If you don't know what I'm talking about yet, well, I have an anatomy website that you can check on the internet. Everybody talking about Gisele Bündchen and hating on her, or, you know, talking smack about Tom Brady's receivers. Well, you know, I guess it's, perhaps you've noticed that supermodel runways don't have microphones. Yeah. Because of her obscene gesture during the halftime show, MIA has become a household name overnight. Well, I'm sure hoping she learned her lesson, huh? Country singer Randy Travis busted for DUI in Texas, or as country singers call it, research. And Vice President Biden hit the campaign trail in Florida. It's all part of President Obama's strategy to lose big in Florida. All right, we got here more Super Bowl stuff. Forget all that. Oh, glad, and I don't mean the baggy people. That didn't sound right, did it? I'm talking about the gay rights activists and defense organization GLAAD with the two A's. They want CNN commentator Roland Martin fired because of a supposed anti-gay Super Bowl tweet. This is what he wrote: "If a dude at your Super Bowl party is hyped about David Beckham's H&M underwear ad, smack the ish out of him." And for that, they want him fired. CeeLo, the song F You. Everybody has just sort of, I guess, automatically assumed that it has something to do with him being jilted by a lover at some point. Turns out that's not the case. The song's about his record company. Apparently he had recorded a bunch of songs and the record company just sort of sat on them and didn't do anything with them, didn't promote them, didn't release them, and that's what the song was about. It sort of reminds me of the song by Ace back in the 1970s, How Long? How long has this been going on? And it didn't have anything to do with an affair. It had to do with a guy leaving the band to go to another band. And there are other instances of that, too. I think Genesis has one, too. All right, so we got Valentine's Day coming up. When is that? Valentine's Day is, yeah, I thought it was next Tuesday. It is. You better learn the secret messages behind roses before you start giving them on Valentine's Day. And I didn't know anything about this. And I don't know if anybody knows. I think if a woman gets roses, she's just happy to get the roses. But apparently, it's more complicated than that. Isn't everything these days? Here are a few of the messages. 6 roses symbolizes passion and infatuation. 10 roses means you think your love is perfect. Whose love is perfect? 12 roses says, be mine. 15 means you're sorry about something. And 24 is like shouting, I'm yours. What a racket this roses thing on Valentine's Day is. Like I said, if a woman gets roses, I don't care if she gets 17 or 117, just be glad you got some frickin' roses. According to a new study, all that team building stuff they do in corporate America, that team building, those exercises that they do, it doesn't improve how people work. Knew it all along. 297 cops in New York who responded to 9/11 have been diagnosed with cancer at an average age of 44. And 3 times the number of officers are applying for cancer-related disability than before 9/11. That story isn't being told, or not being told well enough. There's a lot more going on in your office than you thought. According to a new survey, 11% of people, that's 1 out of every 9 of your coworkers, admit they've had sex in the workplace at least once. 7% of people actually have sex at the office regularly. The most popular place is on your desk, meeting room second, parking garage third. Parking garage doesn't count as the office. Let me just tell you something. The least popular places, bathroom stall, boss's desk. 95% of office sex happens after hours, but that means 5% it's going on while you're working. Where's Bob and Shirley? All right, Smash last night. I don't mean Smash was with us every Friday. The iconic broadcaster in St. Louis. I'm talking about the TV show. A little gayer than I was expecting. And, you know, Catherine McPhee is fun to look at, but I don't think I'll be watching the show. Ashton Kutcher, 34 today. Swordsman. And Chris Rock, 47. And that leads us to our JC Eye Candy here today. Those overly religious types who just seem to sit there down in Mississippi and Alabama with a clipboard, and every time somebody says poop on TV, they put a little check in the box. They're driving me out of my mind. So MIA flips the bird as part of Madonna's halftime show the other night. And while we concern ourselves with these dopes you go overseas, and the TV shows, the commercials, all sorts of stuff have lots of sex and boobs and cleavage and a lot of sexual double entendres and innuendo and everything like that. So there's 4 commercials we picked out from overseas. You know, and I don't see, you know, the decline of civilization as we know it just because there's some sexual stuff going on in TV commercials in Europe. So enjoy them, look at them, and it's just amazing. Sometimes I have to keep looking at the calendar and remind myself that it actually is 2012 because there's a chunk of this country that doesn't sort of want to acquiesce to that. All right, once again, JC's Rock and Roll poll here today is the poll about Wall Street Journal and NBC did this poll, and they released it last week, and 96% of avowed conservatives say they've got a problem with Obama as a person. What do you think about that? Has that gotten completely blown out of proportion? Are you sort of ashamed of people that would say that, or are you right on board? Please answer in the corner. Really curious to see what the results are on this. And that's pretty much it. JC's Daily Dose for Tuesday, February 7, 2012. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Clayton. And in the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye!